I remember their love more clearly than I remember the ship, which is strange because the world only remembers the tragedy of the RMS Titanic as if that was the only story worth telling. But to me, it wasn't. To me, it was the place where my mother came back to life. Before him, she wasn't really living. She was existing, moving through days like someone who had already lost too much to ever hope again. I used to watch her sit in silence, her eyes distant, like she was looking at memories instead of the world in front of her. Even when she smiled, it never reached her eyes. It felt like she had locked something deep inside herself and thrown away the key. And then he appeared, not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly, like something fate had been holding back until the right moment. The first time I saw them together, she was laughing, and I remember stopping completely, confused by the sound, because it didn't feel real. It wasn't polite laughter or something she forced for others. It was soft, natural, alive. He spoke to her like she mattered, like she wasn't broken, like whatever pain she carried didn't define her. And she listened to him in a way I had never seen before. Like every word he said was something she wanted to keep forever. They didn't rush into anything, didn't make promises, didn't even speak about love, but it grew anyway, in the quiet moments, in the spaces between words, in the way he noticed everything about her. The way she would go silent when lost in thought, the way she pulled her coat tighter when the wind grew colder, the way her eyes softened when she forgot to guard her feelings. And he responded to those small things, not with grand gestures, but with simple, quiet care. At night, we would stand on the deck under a sky full of endless stars, the ocean stretching into darkness around us, and I remember how he would gently place his coat over her shoulders without a word, like protecting her was something natural to him. And she would look at him in a way I didn't understand back then, but I do now. It was the look of someone who had stopped believing in happiness and then found it again when she least expected it. In those moments, she wasn't the quiet, distant woman I had always known. She was someone else, someone lighter, someone who believed that maybe life could still be kind. And I think, deep down, she believed this time it would last. That this wasn't something temporary. That this wasn't another thing she would lose. But some stories are not meant to last. They are meant to break you in ways you never recover from. The night, everything changed. The ocean felt wrong. Too still. Too silent. Like it was waiting. Like it already knew what was about to happen. There was something heavy in the air, something I couldn't understand as a child, but could feel all the same. Then came that sound, not loud, not violent, just a deep tearing feeling that seemed to move through the ship itself, like something beneath us had been ripped open. At first, no one reacted. People smiled, laughed, ignored it, because denial feels safer than fear. But slowly, that comfort disappeared. Whispers began, then questions, then panic. The truth spread through the ship like fire. The unsinkable ship was sinking. And suddenly, everything changed. The laughter was gone. The music stopped. The world we had been living in just moments before no longer existed. We ran through chaos, through voices calling out, through fear that had no shape but was everywhere. I remember my mother holding my hand so tightly it hurt, like she was afraid that if she let go even for a second, she would lose me too. And maybe she already knew what I didn't, that once something starts breaking, it doesn't stop. When we reached the lifeboats, reality showed its cruelest face. There weren't enough. There are never enough when it matters most. Women and children first, they shouted, as if those words could make something so unfair feel right. He looked at her, and she looked at him. And even as a child, I understood what that look meant. This was the end of their story. She held on to him, her voice breaking as she refused to leave, as if letting go meant losing him forever. Her hands clutched his coat, her eyes searching his face for something. Hope, a miracle, anything that would change what was happening. But he didn't panic. He didn't try to escape. He didn't fight the moment. He simply stepped closer and held her face in his hands, gently, carefully, like she was something fragile, something he didn't want to break even in that moment. He looked at her like he was memorizing everything. The way her eyes filled with tears, the way her lips trembled, the way she looked at him like he was everything she had just found. "You have to live," he said, his voice steady even as the world collapsed around them. She shook her head, tears falling freely now, whispering, "I just found you." For a moment, he said nothing, and in that silence, everything was said. Then he smiled, not happily, not bravely, but like someone who had already accepted the end even if his heart hadn't. "I found you too late," he said, and that was it. That was their love story, not a lifetime, not even a beginning, just a moment that came too late. He kissed her forehead softly, like a goodbye he didn't want to say out loud, then lifted me into the lifeboat like I was something precious, something that mattered more than anything else in that moment. She followed, but her hands never stopped reaching for him, even as the boat began to lower, even as the distance between them grew with every second. She called out to him, I don't remember the name, only the pain inside it, but he didn't move. He stood there on the deck of a dying ship as it tilted further into darkness, as everything around him began to fall apart. He didn't run. He didn't try to save himself. He just watched her, holding on to that final moment for as long as he could, until he became smaller and smaller, until he was nothing more than a shadow. And then not even that. The RMS Titanic didn't just sink that night. It took their love with it, took something fragile and beautiful that had barely begun, but already meant everything. I remember looking back as the ship broke apart, the sound loud and final, like something inside the world itself had given up, and then there was only silence. A silence so heavy it felt louder than the chaos before it. And me, I survived. That's what they call it. At least, survival. But no one tells you what happens after. No one tells you how heavy it feels to live when others didn't, how silence follows you long after the screams are gone, how memories don't fade, they settle inside you. I grew up. I learned to speak, to work, to live like everyone else. But something in me never left that night, because I didn't just survive a sinking ship. I survived a moment that never ended. I remember the cold, the dark, the sound of the ocean swallowing everything. But more than that, I remember them. The way she smiled, the way he looked at her, the way love existed even when the world was ending. My mother lived, but she was never the same. Sometimes I would find her staring into nothing, like she was still on that deck, still reaching for him, still living in a moment that refused to let her go. And as I grew older, I understood something. Some people don't move on, they just learn how to carry what they lost. As for me, I never forgot him, or maybe I never forgot what he represented, because without ever saying it, he taught me something I would carry for the rest of my life, that love, even if it lasts only a moment, can be strong enough to echo forever. And sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I still see it. The ship, the stars, the endless ocean, and a man standing still, choosing love, even when it meant losing everything. Because the truth is, the RMS Titanic didn't just sink people. It left behind ghosts, memories that refused to fade, stories that were never meant to end. And I am one of them.